video clip contains strong language and has therefore been rated 18 plus by the YouTube NECCA. Viewer discretion is advised. YouTube, NECCA, and the makers of this video do not condone the usage of foul language in any situation or circumstance. The explicit content shown within this clip may also be disturbing viewing for mature adults. All people in and involved with this video are innocent until proven guilty.
All right, and we are back on the Fix for New York Libertarian podcast. We're getting some feedback over here. Fight, can you say something real quick?
Yeah. What's going on, everybody?
So hold on. Fight, can you say something real quick? Perfect. All right. So yes, we do have the audio, and this is what happens when libertarians come together, completely turn their feelings off, because we believe in logic, in stats, in facts, in reasoning, in rationalization, and zero motherfucking feelings when it comes to what? Problem solving. So yeah, we are back. The Fix for New York Libertarian Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Cash First 456 on Instagram. Even though I'm currently being banned from Instagram, I'm being censored. Adam Mosseri, you are a failure to the Constitution. You are biased and possibly racist, because I am a minority. I am of Hispanic descent, first generation born in the United States, meaning my blood is purely from a minority area. My co-host Z Dot will not be here with us this evening, but he is here with us in spirit. God bless the brother Z Dot. But who we do have here with us this evening is, a guy that I'm truly happy to have met and known for what? We going on for what? Possibly three years already.
3 years.
You've been so polite to me, so informative to me. So many things I've learned from you, and I want to give you your props every single chance I could get, and I want everybody to know how great of a man you are, how trustworthy of a man you are, how dedicated you are. I've seen you bounce around from state to state working on different campaigns, doing so many great things. And if I could just say your name in the highest of graces, my brother, fellow New Yorker, fellow libertarian, fellow porcupine, David Fite.
You gonna make me blush, bro? Yo, I fucking love those sound effects, bro. That shit had me dying. Watching your stream on your birthday. I was just cracking the fuck up the whole time.
Thank you, brother, man. And yeah, like, I'm glad that I'm able to make you laugh the same way you've made me laugh a lot in my lifetime. Throughout the time duration that we've known each other. I see you got the CBD prepared. Gotta love.
Actually, this is just tobacco. I'm doing. I have a split rolled up, and this is the end of my product, my CBD, as we say. So I'm gonna save that for a little bit into the stream, because as soon as I'm done with that, I'm gonna get sad.
Oh man. Hey, if you wanna come around, and I mean, we can find some CBD somewhere. But yeah, like, it's.
You gotta come with me out to Colorado, where we don't have to call it CBD.
Oh my goodness. We'll leave that at that. But yeah, like I was saying, I'm happy to know you. I'm happy that we've never had any fallouts or anything, because I've known people for 10, 15, 20 years who I never want to talk to again. They could go get hit by a truck for all I care.
I feel that.
Yeah, but you know, I got a lot of love for you. Like I said, you always been polite to me, always been good to me. Anytime we've had minor disagreements, you've made sure to explain things properly, not be an asshole. How other people choose to do so, and they don't understand that all that happens when people are driven by ego and a sense of wanting to be better than the next person rather than build bridges. All they ever do is ruin everything, and that leads to nothing but failures. You know?
Yeah.
Were you able to hear that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we had it a little low, but for those who couldn't hear it, there we go. But yeah,
Yeah, man, the feeling is 100% mutual. I'm glad I got to meet you before I dipped out of New York City. And fuck, you contain basically all of my best memories of like libertarian stuff in New York, like the Puerto Rican Day Parade, shit like that. Like best liberty moments in New York by far. So very glad to call you my friend for sure. And yeah, I think you touched on a little bit of what I consider to be like my main life philosophy right now, which is I think libertarianism at its fullest. Uh, the idea of liberty is, as Larry Sharp likes to say, you can be as conservative or liberal as you want as long as you're not pushing those ideas on anybody else. And I think that's true with libertarianism. As long as you're not trying to push your ideas on other people, it's good. But a lot of people fall into that trap. I think libertarian politics is just step one. Libertarian philosophy is a whole different thing, and that's what leads people to be able to actually have adult conversations and explain things without getting all up in your feelings. Because you have to understand that the other person side of the argument is just as legitimate as yours, and go from there. If you think, oh, everybody left of center is a moron who doesn't understand economics and clearly just needs to be educated by me, then you're never gonna win anyone over to the LP.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right. And I couldn't have said any of that any better. You articulated it wonderfully. And you brought up Larry. Shout out, Larry. um, yeah, be like, you got bootlicking Republicans and even some bootlicking libertarians. You have extremely emotionally driven Democrats and some extremely emotionally driven libertarians. And even then, I do my best to explain to these people the United States Constitution, which is the foundation of this nation. And without a foundation, nothing can stand up. And along with that, it is the supreme law of the land. So within that, the Constitution itself allows you to have your personal beliefs as long as you're not trying to shove it down nobody else's throat, how you said earlier. You're not trying to force it on nobody.
Right.
And I have seen you in particular be able to talk to moderate Democrats, socialist Democrats, um constitutional conservative slash Republicans, and far right conservative slash Republicans, and always bring them back to the basis of it all, which is individualism. Because what is the biggest minority along with the United States on planet Earth? What is it, Fight?
The individual.
That's how you know it's real. And yeah,
Yeah,
yo.
and I think anybody that's doing or anybody that is into politics for a good reason, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, I think you can tie them into libertarian politics pretty easily. If you're a true constitutional Republican, you don't have to be a Rand Paul style like vote no on everything, but if what you care about is First, Second Amendment, and that's why you're a Republican, then you have a home in the LP. If you're on the left and what you care about is, ending these corporate oligarchies and monopolies and um, redistributing wealth and freedom back down to the working class, there's a home for you in the Libertarian Party as well. We'll try to teach you some economics about like why maybe forcing people into that system is bad, but if you're trying to end like government subsidies to large corporations, yeah, we're 100% with you there too. So really, wherever you fall on the spectrum, if you're there for a good reason, and it's not about like we said, if it's not about pushing your ideas onto other people, then the LP I think is for you, regardless of how you want to accomplish those goals.
Thank you so much. And you know that's what it's all about. Always reverting back to the power, the empowering of the individual. Fight. Do you like ice cream?
Of course.
I don't. And you see,
I know you're a fucking weirdo.
and you see, you and I, we coexist like crazy. Like you're one of the few guys, and God struck me that.
I almost blocked you after you said that. Like, I don't know if I can be friends with you.
But yeah, like you're one of the few guys that, in all honesty, and God strike me dead if I'm lying, that I would like to keep around until my last moments on planet Earth. You know, just because of our chemistry, our understanding, and I know that having guys like you on the same team as me, we can accomplish great things, especially moving forward as we grow more, expand more, um, acquire more financial profits, gains. So many things. All we're gonna do is continue growing, and something I learned in network marketing. I've been in 4 network marketing companies already. You always recruit to your weaknesses. And there's certain things that I can't explain as good as you can, and vice versa. You know? So we leverage off of each other. Um like that's what leads to success. It's just like any sports franchise. Each sport has different players, different positions. If in basketball, for example, you're a good point guard, be a point guard. You're a good shooting guard, be a good shooting guard. You're a small forward, center, power forward, whatever. Play your position. You could be a great coach. You can't play basketball but you
That's me. I understand the game. I can't make a shot. Shit.
There you go.
I can hit layups all day. That is about it. I can get past people to a layup pretty well. Like that is my only main skill.
Yeah, and then even you know, in militia combat situations, you're gonna have some guys that are better at sniping. You're gonna have some guys who are better at being field soldiers, and you're gonna have people who are better at being medics. And if they have to, start bucking, then they'll shoot. But if they're good at medics, then they'll do that. It's all about the brain power and trying to figure out how to make things function as best possible, and staying all the way out of our. Because as you saw, while we were trying to get this episode up and running, and the last time we attempted this, there was a issue that we had, a audio issue, and now we got it resolved and all that. And you saw it took about 20-30 minutes to get this up and running. And what was the key thing that we did in order to get this up and running?
Stay out of our feelings.
Yep.
I haven't heard you talking to yourself. You was like, all right, just calm down. Like, don't get in your feelings. Just curse out the Democrats and keep going.
Word. I did hear you ask me before it got cut off if I had a Twitter, And I do. And for those of you watching, I do have a Twitter. Cash first 456 on Twitter. Um, and people, help me, please. Help me get my personal Instagram back. I was at 2,000 and change, and they censored me for calling out Trump's failures, which we're gonna get to shortly, and we're gonna try to make it as entertaining as possible. Make pardon me, have a lot of laughs. Yeah, the censorship is real. Along with me, they've come after a lot of big libertarian names, a lot of big of anonymous names, and we're just in some crazy times right now. And how the episode has one of its main topics, politics is unavoidable. And this is what I tell people, that there's no way you're gonna be able to avoid politics, because politics is what it's the catalyst of how pretty much you live your everyday life. What you're able to do and not do, will it criminalize you, or will it empower you more? Will it allow you to travel easier or travel more restrictively, the way we're seeing right now? One of the libertarians went to Vegas a few weeks ago, and it looked like a ghost town out there. And this is, talking about Las Vegas, and you saw my lives after the whole started kicking off. Times Square, I've never seen it this empty. Like, normally, even during this type of weather, because it's brick as shit, there would still be a lot of people in Times Square and all that. Right now, we go to Times Square, there's probably like 20, 30 people there. As to before, at this time, there would still be like a solid 200-300 people out there. So this is crazy. And guys like you, guys like me, guys like Z Dot, guys like Larry, guys like David Smith, shout out David Smith. Props to the ladies too. Women like it's a big libertarian female who's very rational. Stacy Pressman. Shout out Stacy Pressman. Yeah, very logical as well. Always looking to be solution minded and all that. So it's people like us that we're constantly trying to explain things to people, because if you get emotional and get driven by you're not really gonna get anything solved. And I know there's still gonna be people who are gonna be caught up in there when I say these things, but what they gotta realize, in my personal opinion, the time to come and implicate your is after the job gets done. Try to figure out how to solve it first. Right now, it's 1 a.m, and we started a little bit after midnight trying to get this episode up and running. And had we been in we would have never got anything done. And look, now that we accomplished this, we're able to celebrate and enjoy, educate, inform, and elaborate. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, I'll shout out Joe Jorgensen too.
Yes, JoJo. Shout out Joe Jorgensen.
That I think embodies that pretty well. And I'll kind of rope back around to something you were talking about earlier about like recruiting to your weaknesses. I think that sometimes the LP could use a couple more feelings, to be perfectly honest. I think that the kind of leftist mentality of people first is healthy and important in politics. And sometimes the most logical outcome or the most logical solution isn't always the best solution, right? So I think that it's important for the logical people to stay out of their feelings and let their logic do their thing. But we also have to listen to like how our decisions are going to affect other people and think about that. And I think it works better if that's a whole second brain that's thinking the feeling side, and the logic people are able to logic, and my boss Dimitri, always, I'll shout him out, Dimitri McKay, always talks about force multipliers. If you're joining forces with someone, are your strengths and weaknesses gonna complement each other and move you forward, or are they gonna butt heads and keep you stagnant? And I think the LP, the reason that I push for bottom unity so hard and that left-right libertarian alliance is because I think it's a force multiplier. We need to be able to have like really right brain, like solution-oriented people like Larry and Joe, Dave Smith, these kind of people. We also need people that are going to be out there thinking about how these actions come across to other people, and is it going to increase their quality of life in reality or just on paper? So we need people like Tulsi Gabbard or Berman Supreme. Some of these more kind of people-oriented minds, because together we'll come up with the actual best solution. Larry's not always right. I'm not always right.
I'm not always right.
Right, and especially on this topic, I'm wrong often. I very often go with the most logical solution and fuck some people over unintentionally. So, having somebody else around, anybody that's been in a long-term relationship, like a good, healthy long-term relationship, can say, having that other brain around to be like, hey, how is that gonna, your mom's not gonna appreciate that if you skip out on dinner with her to come hang out with me. It's like, oh yeah, you're probably right. Maybe I should go, do this other thing that might not be logical, might not give me the goals that I wanted, but are gonna be better in the long run because I make the people around me happier.
Yeah, and you see, to add to what you said there, you got a lot of libertarians who wouldn't want to sit down and have a conversation with Tulsi. Right away, they see her as like this Democrat, socialist, blah blah blah, and all that, and instantly start being
right.
And it's just like that's not gonna help. Try to sit down with her and have the conversation the way you have had, because I'm pretty sure her conversations with you made her become a bit more pro Second Amendment. Maybe she can sometimes be a little bit more when it comes to the Second Amendment, simply because maybe she's seen things happen throughout her life that will make her have a little bit more precautions when it comes to firearms. But the Second Amendment expands beyond firearms. It's all about being as equipped as possible for self-defense against an individual, party, entity, or overall tyrannical government.
Right. I mean, when I joined her campaign, she had an assault weapons ban and universal background checks on her website, on her platform. And I'll shout out Reed Coverdale, Naturalist Capitalist on YouTube. He sat down with her. I fucking read the letter he gave her. It was like pages of information about the Second Amendment, why it was created, what these policies will actually do, like red flag laws, which Tulsi never supported anyway. And the letter also brought up the fact that, Tulsi didn't support the assault weapons ban until her constituents pushed her into it. And I think she did the right thing by voting yes on that, because that's what her constituents wanted. But, that doesn't represent the entire country. And, Hawaii is very anti-gun. They have a very peaceful culture that doesn't need guns. They're not a necessity for people in Hawaii. That's fine. I understand that. I kind of wish the country could be more like Hawaii, for sure. But, unfortunately, Chicago and Brooklyn still exist. Guns are still necessary to protect yourself in some other parts of the country. So, and from I think about December, January, somewhere in there. That came off of her talking points. That came off of her website. That came off her platform. Everything. Like
So little by
she
little.
shut up about gun control, and I don't even think she was ever really that hard on it. She just needed to hear it that there were people that supported her for everything but that, and she could stop pushing gun control and not lose any support. And she saw that and took that opportunity and moved, I think, her campaign in a very positive direction. Unfortunately, a lot of the right wingers wouldn't listen to her because it used to be on her platform. They wouldn't accept that change of heart, which is bullshit. Like if you take someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who is like 96% libertarian, at least like 85% libertarian, and you say things like Joe Jorgensen said, she's good on one issue, you're going to turn off not only Tulsi, but everyone that supports her to the idea of libertarianism. If you say, oh, Tulsi's only good on one issue, that means that all of her supporters only agree with us on that one issue. That's the only thing the libertarians are good with for is that one issue. From their side, you need to express every commonality that you have with the people that you're trying to bring over. Otherwise, it's never going to be successful.
Exactly.
So, Tulsi's good on anti-war, but she's also good on drugs. She's good on sex work. She's pretty freaking good on the Second Amendment. She's better than half the Republicans in Congress, if you ask me. Like she falls in line with the LP platform almost hand in hand, and no one wants to see that because she's a Democrat. She's a leftist. She believes in the communal good of humanity, and a lot of people in the Libertarian Party, I think, are only here because that fuck the poor mentality that we get accused of. Like, I think a lot of it is actually present in the LB. It's a lot of people that want to protect themselves and to hole up and save up all their money like fucking Scrooge, and that's not what the Libertarian Party is about.
Yeah, it's all based back on the individual, and how you said, Tulsi little by little is having that change of heart, and shout out Tulsi. I would love to have her on one of these days, hopefully.
I was actually just talking to her dad today. He might come on the show.
Really?
That would be. Hawaii starts up their legislative session in about a week and a half, so he's busy. But it might be a thing. Mike Gabbard is an awesome human. He's, in my opinion, him and Tulsi together, like they blend this idea of philosophy with politics better than anyone else in the mainstream right now, of just actually living out the way that they vote, and it's beautiful. I love to see it.
And you see how you said that Hawaii is pretty peaceful and all that, the way people go about it and stuff. Well, through my lineage, being Caribbean and all that, because all Hawaii is, in my opinion, is a West Coast version of the Caribbean.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, so we were peaceful people at one point until we got colonized. So I'm pretty sure I could explain that. Is Tulsi a Hawaiian native? Like, is that her lineage?
She is actually what is she? She is half Samoan, half white. Her mom's from the Midwest, so she's half mutt like me, and her dad is Samoan, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
So, actually not native, but I think her family's been there for at least a few generations. And like, if you meet her, like you would never be able to tell that she's not native Hawaiian. Like she lives and breathes aloha more than any person I've ever met.
Yeah, so I could definitely have that common understanding with her of our people being peaceful, and at the same time I would be able to explain to her, like, look, you should never let your guard down. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Tulsi a military vet?
serving as a major in the California Army National Guard. Fun
Mm.
fact that not a lot of people know yet. She just moved to California.
From Hawaii.
Yep.
Mm.
And the only reason that I consider that legitimate is because I know that her army status changed. She's now part of the California National Guard, so she has to move. There were a lot of people saying she was moving to New Hampshire, and I knew that that was false. So, but yeah, Tulsi's moving and changing some things. I think as soon as her this session in Congress is up, and I'm excited to see what she's gonna do. But yeah, I really think that if you practice what you preach and you actually care about the people around you, then you're probably going to make a decent politician no matter where you are. But yeah, I think you make a very good point that the Caribbean was peaceful until it got colonized. I think the fact that Hawaii has been able to maintain its culture even into 2020 kind of blows my mind. You know, it's the only part of America I think that really maintained any of its culture, or not any, but like, you know, as hard as it is, it's kind of impressive. But yeah, so the people there, they don't see guns the same way as, you know, someone like me that grew up with, you know, there's guns downstairs in my house right now. It's just not seen as the same level of necessity, and they scare people. People that don't know guns, that don't understand guns, see the news, and they're scared of it because they don't know how to properly handle it. How can they expect other people to know how to properly handle it? And it's just about education.
Yep.
And, you know,
ignorance breeds fear.
Yep. All the time.
So how you were saying, it's all about education, and I've gotten better on things like working on my car, where me living in the biggest city in the United States, and I think probably the planet, arguably the planet.
I think there's a couple of cities in Asia that beat New York, like Dubai and Hong Kong and Beijing.
Okay.
Like,
That's why I said arguably.
Western Hemisphere.
That's why I said arguably before anybody gets in there. Because there's some people, oh my god, oh look what he said, blah blah blah. But yeah, so when you live in a big city, you're not as urged to be mechanically sound with vehicles, because every few blocks is a mechanic shop.
And the subways.
Mm-hmm. You got subways as well, so a lot of people don't even own cars. But
I left mine up here when I moved down there.
yeah, so it's just like, no matter what, it's always good to know as much as possible, because that's what we have brains for, to acquire knowledge. And the more you know and the more well versed that you are, the more productive you're able to be, and the more self-reliant you're able to be. And I'm pretty sure Tulsi could agree that there's nothing quite like self-reliance, because self-reliance will.
There's nothing sexier than watching Tulsi shoot a gun. That is for sure.
Yeah, Tulsi, again, props to her. She's an amazing woman intellectually, and she looks amazing as well. And I do see her as one of many women, just like Joe Jorgensen, just like now, Stacey Pressman, just like Candace Owens, just like Anna Paulina, because Anna Paulina and Candace Owens, they're pro cop. I am anti cop to the max, because I know police origins, horrible origins. They're daily oath breakers, but the things we disagree on, I don't let it overpower the things we could agree on, and we already do agree on. And I see all these women that I named as great role models for the next generation of females coming up. Because again, you like ice cream, I don't like ice cream. You could say, yo, ice cream's amazing, and I could say ice cream's garbage, but we could still coexist. and go about it. Hey, you don't like firearms, you don't like being able to defend yourself, then don't. Just don't come later complaining and all that when you're not able to defend yourself. And let me tell you, if you ever put in a situation where you gotta defend yourself and you're not fully equipped to do so, the only thing you're gonna be able to do is, and that's we really don't want anybody who's good of heart in that situation. Now, if you're, an a-hole and all that, then you could be in the as frequent as possible.
Right. I think another problem, even with Tulsi, I don't think she needs a gun 80% of the time. Like, another thing that I love noticing about Hawaiian culture is they're physically fit. They do a whole bunch of like jujitsu and capoeira and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And most people there could kick your ass without a gun.
Yeah.
They just breed that shit. They teach it in school, like self-defense. I think that's something that should be taught in every school in America, is like basic self-defense. Like, why are we not covering that in gym class?
That's true. Basic self-defense, bring that back.
Graduate high school like a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, everyone should graduate high school with blue belt. Like,
yeah.
There's no reason we couldn't do that in the 12 years we have your children. Like, we could make that a requisite. Just make everyone in America able to like just whoop some ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And that again goes back to the basis of the United States Constitution. Second Amendment is all about self-defense. It's beyond whatever tool you choose to use, because hey, you could be shooting and miss, and run out of ammunition, and then what? So I agree with that. It's about restoring the culture of what? Self-reliance. Again,
Right.
And one thing about self-reliance and self-independence, pardon me, is being able to self-defend. The thing I would say with Hawaii is they should never forget Pearl Harbor, and Pearl Harbor is a perfect example that our limbs could only get but so far. You get me?
Yeah.
So right there, that's when
that's what happens when you get comfy.
Yeah.
Like, Pearl Harbor is a great example of what happens to someone when they get too comfortable and think that they're safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because Pearl Harbor was unbombable, right? It was like the Titanic being unsinkable. Pearl Harbor could not be bombed. The way that it is structured is too shallow. Torpedoes would hit the bottom of the harbor before they were able to level out and actually go into ships. Like, they thought Pearl Harbor was the safest place you could possibly do anything. So the Japanese figured out a way around it. They made their torpedoes smaller and lighter. They put weights in the back of them and made the tips hollow so that they would level out faster, put stronger propellers that kicked in faster. They figured out a way around it. And then you also, you hear about like kamikaze pilots. They put explosives in the tip of planes and would just drive the plane straight into things. They figured out a way to fuck up Pearl Harbor even when it was unbombable. And it was a fucking Sunday in December. Like, everyone was just chillaxing.
Yeah, the most comfortable day, allegedly.
Yeah. I mean, there was a book series that I read as a kid, and I'm spacing on the name of it right now. It was like a 4-book series that covers this kid who's like 15 when Pearl Harbor happens. He's like in a fishing boat out in the harbor, and his dad is on the USS Arizona. And like, he watches the whole thing happen and then joins the Marines and everything. It's a whole thing. And yeah, I think it accurately depicts just the lackadaisical mood of the town at the time. And I mean, it's fucking Hawaii in December on a Sunday. Like, I would have been like being lazy too. I'm not shitting on the people in Pearl Harbor by any stretch of the imagination. It's like, I get it. But that's what happens when you get comfy, no matter where you are.
Mm-hmm.
That applies like right now with the stimulus bill. It's like, oh, they're going to give us $600. That's what people are mad about, is the amount of money they're giving us. And some people are pointing out the fact that we're getting 10% of the bill. It's a $900 billion spending bill. It's the second largest spending bill in American history that's being proposed right now, and we're getting $600 each out of that. Like, and people are like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's what are you gonna do? Congress is stupid, and it's total like defeatism. And it's like, well, at least they're giving us $600. It's like
too
that's a
much.
precursor. The $600 is just to iron out how they're gonna give it to us, and then they're gonna give us more next month. That's what. So I've heard that on Twitter 100 times today. Shit, I heard that from AOC today. She said that this is a precursor to a larger disbursement. That bullshit. Like bullshit. You went from 1,200 to 600, and you're gonna tell me that now this is necessary so that we can come up with a more accurate number. You literally shrunk the number.
Exactly. We're constantly being lied to. And again, people get too comfortable. Comfort and complacency. Did I say that right? Complacency. Complacency. Can be dangerous. Not to say that they should be fully like avoided at all costs, because you gotta enjoy your comfort sometimes, you know. But just like anything in life, you get too comfortable, you know, and you make yourself vulnerable, and that's what has to be, you know, comprehended. People got too comfortable, and look at them now. The minute that the coronavirus showed up, people's everyday lives completely shifted overnight. And what we seeing now, we seeing a bunch of people all up inside of there. And you know, you have people out here constantly being scared of all types of different things. And you know, oh, when the typical world you got used to, which was temporary as well, because you remember back during the Cold War, there was plenty of times that, you know, little scares occurred, and you know, people were running under their desk, and the news had everybody feeling like, you know. So there always has to be some type of sense of alert, you know, some type of alertness, because the old saying is, the minute you let your guard down is the minute the devil strikes.
Right.
You know, so
yeah. And I think this is a great like COVID is a great example. In '96, the LP had a presidential candidate, Harry Brown, and he likes to say that what the government does is it breaks your leg and then gives you a crutch, and then says, "Without us, how would you be walking?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly all of these things. You know, Cold War is another great example. 9/11 is another great example. COVID, perfect trio of our lifetime, or at least, you know, Gen X lifetime. The authoritarians use each of those moments to push the U.S. further up on the political spectrum, and it like nobody learns the lesson. Everybody's complacent. Then some shit goes down, whether it's the government's fault or not. Some shit goes down, and then because we're still complacent, because we would rather somebody else deal with our problem, we go, okay, yeah, that solution sounds good. Lock down, close everybody's business, and give us a total of $1,800 to last us an entire year. Sure, all right, you know.
That does not make sense.
Year-long war in Iraq where we wasted billions or trillions of dollars. Like, how is that a good solution to 9/11? It's like, oh, the people in the Middle East are mad at us. Let's bomb the fuck out of them for an entire generation.
That does not make sense.
Exactly. Two wrongs don't make a right. And those who don't learn from, you know, history and the mistakes of the past are doomed to repeat it all over again. And unfortunately, that's what we're going through now. How I said earlier when we started, we guys like you and I were able to explain things to people because we do our best to remove our emotions from it and keep it factual. Because if you got two people screaming at each other and being all up inside of there's no clarity brought about. I was explaining it to somebody who will remain anonymous. Hey, you can't avoid politics. You might not like politics, but guess what? Do you like wearing that mask right now? No. You know, like that mask causes you to have constant irritation on your face. This particular individual, me, I thank God, I don't have any type of reactions like that. I just don't like the idea of rebreathing in the carbon dioxide that I just exhaled out. Because that's all the mask is doing, is containing our carbon dioxide. And that's not healthy.
It's a good one, especially.
Mm-hmm. So,
Right.
you know, I told this
I hear people. Oh, sorry.
I told this individual that, and like it started to click in their head. They was like, "Oh, okay, I could see." And it's just like, you know, like it's not that we want to be political as a hobby. It's just, hello, realize what's going on. Like we're in serious trouble right now. We are at the brink of, I would say, arguably, top three most moments in global history, you know, because another one I could add was Y2K, and another one 9/11, and
Yeah.
then now, you know, this whole
Coronavirus!
and look what's going on now. You can't travel the way that you wanted to. You can't go to Dave and Buster's. I love Dave and Buster's. Can't go to the movie theaters. You got a bunch of Karens out here that anytime they see somebody without a mask, right away, you know, and it's just like, look, as much as you wanna, you know, avoid politics, you wanna say politics is boring, blah blah blah. Look where it got you now. And that's what happens when you choose to ignore things that really matter. People want to be all up in their sports, their music, everything under this umbrella of entertainment. And all entertainment is, well, I won't say all that it is, because right away what's gonna happen again, people are gonna come up all in there and nag and complain. But one of the big pieces of entertainment is about captivating the individual or public who is watching the events, or indulging in the service of entertainment that's being provided to them, and they're choosing to be contained within that state of mind. You know, like if you go to a sports arena, for example, you're contained in that state of mind of the sports arena. You know, oh, you know, we're here to be entertained and watch these teams play each other, blah blah blah. You go to a music concert, you're being entertained because they are containing you within that ambience, that atmosphere of the music, and all they're doing is stimulating your.
Yeah.
But then you don't
Kind of
know,
circus.
yeah, and then you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And if you overload your brain with all this entertainment stuff, then you really you take away a lot from the time that you could put into getting informed. And you know, those who are not informed are just gonna walk around misinformed or uninformed. And then again, anytime something happens, they won't be able to handle the harsh realities of what's really going on.
Right.
And
Yeah,
you know,
I think there's two different mentalities that I've been taught that I have decided are both kind of bullshit, and fall in line with what you're saying. So I've been in the position of like people that have Fox News going, or CNN, depending on which office I was in at the time, like going on a TV in the office, like sitting at my desk, I can see a TV that's playing Fox News all day long. So these people that are like trying to be hyper informed by the mainstream media, and that's unhealthy, especially if you're only watching one channel like Fox or CNN. They're never going to cover it correctly. The other thing that I learned, you brought up like network marketing and multi-level marketing earlier. I used to be a part of Amway, and they teach a mentality of like, don't watch the news at all. Like, take the time you would have been watching Fox News and go read a book, which is great. And I loved that when I heard it, and I started to kind of embody it until I got back into politics. But that's just as unhealthy, because you're gonna just be like you're talking about, misinformed. Because you're not gonna completely shut out the news. So you're just gonna hear snippets of things. And you're not gonna be able to form full opinions on current events. The only thing you're gonna know about is self-help books and business strategy, and that's also not helpful. So what I would say is you need a good mixture of both of those things, as well as like independent media. I don't want to sound like a QAnon guy and be like, get your news from YouTube, because that's an equally unhealthy mentality. So watch a little bit of Fox News, watch a little bit of CNN.
MSNBC, ABC, CBS, OAN, Beyond the Noise, Newsmax.
I'm a big fan of The Hill, actually. If you're watching things like OAN and The Hill, you're not going to have to go to step 2 as much. But watch what mainstream media is saying, watch what's going on, look at Twitter and Facebook, and get a rough idea of how the world feels about things. Then go look and see what people like Jimmy Dore, Joe Rogan, Dave Rubin, or if you want a little bit more personable, a show like this or mine, or like Naturalist Capitalist, real nitty gritty talking to people about this kind of stuff, and how you have to figure out what, not just the narrative that the mainstream media is creating, but also what the real people think about it, and then go read a fucking book. Like, that is still an important part of life. Go read a self-help book, or a fucking history book, or even a fictional book. Like, go do something that's going to help just you. Because if all you're doing is taking in what other people think and attempting to assimilate into society, that's not going to work. So you need to figure out what you believe. So if you're religious or in business or something like that, go find some of those books that people are always talking about. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Is an amazing book that I think everyone should read. Go do something that's also going to help yourself. And if you do all of these things, if you intake what the powers that be want you to think, what regular people think, and then try to craft what you actually think, you'll actually be able to be a rounded individual.
I agree with that, and I'll be honest, I'm not too big on reading books.
Yo, me either. I fucking suck at it, dude.
So what I do like is like audio books. And it's crazy because us as males, we're more like hands-on learning, and in contrast to reading, we prefer the audios, Males, we prefer like reading more, like just generally. Again, before anybody comes up in here and begins to get all up in there. Oh, I lost a moment. Well, feelings. Yeah, like for the most part, men, instead of reading, we prefer auditory books, audio books,
Yeah.
Because we like that impact a lot more. Like, we're more like, direct to the point about things. For the most part, again, before anybody comes, with the nonsense and all that. Cause hey, look, we look things up. We're reading constantly. We read, you know, things part of that stimulus that new stimulus package that's coming out. You know, we came to the conclusion $600 is nonsense, especially when you know this has been a talk about a second stimulus after the CARES Act, which was executed upon
6 months ago.
back in April. Yeah.
Good point. 8 months ago.
Mm-hmm. And then it's just like now they came up with another one that's even worse
Right. More money to corporations and less money to us.
to the citizens. Yeah. And during a time period where people really want to shop, where it's cold, so people really wanna get what they need to get and get back home ASAP. You're giving them less? Really?
Right. Right. And it's fucking Christmas. Like, can we talk about that for a second too? Like, they could have been like, all right, corporations, fuck you right now. $900 billion. Let's not spend that much money because we care about the sanctity of the dollar at least a little bit. Let's send out $2,500 to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Which, libertarians will argue is too much money. Fine. All right. If you think that, that's fine. I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is, like, if you cared about, like, the mental health of America even a little bit, this stimulus check would be $2,500 plus. Like,
Yeah.
it would be, and it would have happened weeks ago to where it was guaranteed everyone would have it by Christmas. We would all have the littest Christmas ever, because that's what we fucking need to cap off 2020 and it not be the worst year ever. We all have $2,500 to go actually spend on each other, and know that we have built a brand new culture here in America of, like, giving a shit about the people around you in a way that has almost never existed. People are gonna be spending that on other people. I can guarantee it. It's fucking Christmas. Like, it is just would have been a huge culture of just sharing and coming together. Small businesses being able to, like, survive because people are buying Christmas presents from small businesses on Etsy because fuck Walmart. We've come together as a country around some really crucial parts of this philosophy that have been ignored for years. And helping your neighbor, helping small businesses, giving a shit about the people around you. Like, I think most of the country learned that this year. Congress could have, like, done something mind blowing to make everyone's world just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And they chose not to.
Yep, exactly.
Regardless of how you feel about government spending, like, that factor.
Yeah, and to add to that, I just want to let libertarians know as well. Like, this is not the time to be oh, you're not a real libertarian, blah blah blah. I can't stand those type of libertarians. Oh God, I stay the fuck away from them. And believe me, Democrats beef
Love
with.
how often I get called a commie online. It's my favorite thing about Twitter.
Yeah, and let's be
I said
realistic.
one bad thing about
David.
Smith on Twitter like 2 days ago, and I'm still getting shit up in my replies about fucking commie and a fedora.
Anybody calling you a commie, let me tell them right now, they are completely wrong, and that right there is
Fake news.
because you are not a commie one bit.
I'm gonna clip that and just post that as a reply to every person that calls me a commie on Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. I'll clip it for you. I'll send it to you. I got you. Cause it's not right.
I'll
Like,
just start tagging you how that happens. Just tag you on Twitter. Be like, Cash, come out.
word. Nah, definitely, I got you because I've seen you put in a lot of work for the Libertarian Party. And there's a lot of guys who just sit behind the computer screens and talk nonsense, and then they never come out when it's necessary for them to be out so they could see libertarians in numbers and all that. And then it's just like
Yeah,
you
remember the event anywhere trying to do anything, how fucking flaky these motherfuckers are. Like,
We're talking about the ones who want to be very judgmental and want to be out here calling other libertarians not real libertarians the whole time that they sitting in their house, just
Right. A couple of my friends, including you, have caused me to give Dave Smith a second chance, and I'm in the process of that. So I'm gonna be nice to him himself, but his following on social media, I think contains a huge chunk of this toxic bullshit, and I think it's really evident in some of the replies that I got when I was talking shit about him. I got one reply specifically said, "I hope he takes your pathetic little party away from you." And like, if you believe that, you are you clearly don't give a shit about the LP or the Liberty.
That does not make sense.
Anything, right? If you want to claim that Dave is bringing people to libertarianism and bringing people into the party in droves, you're not wrong. He is growing the movement. He is growing the party. But if he's producing a culture of people that call themselves libertarians but actually don't care about the movement or the party, then I don't think it's helpful. So I'd like to be proven wrong that he actually is bringing in good people. I just haven't met many of them. Everyone I know that likes him was a libertarian before they found Dave Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all
like
the good people I know.
I got
to be like a good person he brought into the party.
yeah,
So,
I got put on to Dave Smith pardon me, via Z Dot. Z Dot threw on the Joe Rogan episode of him. I got put onto Joe Rogan via Larry. So it's about leverage.
Larry and Dave use the same studio.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so they're, I wouldn't call them like buddies, but like they I think Larry's become less vocal against him, that's for sure, and I think that has to be because they're using the same fucking tech team.
Yeah, and there's
they have too many mutual friends now.
there's really no point in people be disagreeing with each other and all that, especially on corny things during such a moment in time that what we need is massive unity against this tyrannical government. Because things are going crazy. So yeah, like what the point I was trying to make before it slips my mind is this is a time right now to capitalize off of whatever could be granted. It is unfortunate to say that, but could be granted to the average citizen who's not into politics, instead of libertarians saying, oh, we shouldn't be taking this money. It was your money to begin with. Businesses got shut down. A lot of ways that people were making money either got reduced or completely taken away from them. So you can't just come and try to slash out and annihilate the thought of any type of stimulus because it's necessary right now,
Right. If you prefer wealth consolidation to wealth distribution, I don't think you understand what economic conservatism really means. If you would rather the government keep this money, then you've got some figuring yourself out to do.
That's what I was looking for. You prefer the government keeping this money? That's what you prefer? Think better. Think. Because if that's your process, your thought process, then let me tell you.
That does not make sense.
Right. Now, I don't want to get misconstrued here.
Yep, because right away people gonna go and get in there.
There was basically everyone that I respect in politics voted no on this stimulus package. So I don't want to get misunderstood that I think the Congress people should have voted yes. I think it's bullshit. Right? Everyone should have voted no on this. It should not be a $900 billion spending bill. It should be just direct payments to citizens and literally nothing else. And it should be better than $600. So the no votes I wholly support.
Mm-hmm.
Now that it's been voted on, the people the talking heads that are talking shit about it are who we're talking about. I just want to make that clear to anybody watching. You know, now that it's happened, if you are one of those people that's like, I'm gonna rip it up, or I'm gonna send it back, or you're a statist for cash again, like, shut up, please go away.
Again, these are people who want to be in there, and they gotta mature as well. They gotta figure out how to turn any type of negative into a positive. Because, all right, on average, I'm seeing 100 people a day at my job. You know how many of those people come to my job all up in there and just
Oh, hell yeah.
completely ignorant when it comes to, you know, their mobile devices and all that. And I gotta put my feelings aside. I gotta put my insults to the side and realize that, yo, these people need help right now. So this isn't a time to be, you know, all cocky and focusing on self vanity and blowing smoke up my ass. It's a time to say, hey, let me help them here. Right now, average citizens do need help. I've been this whole time, I had the paper and everything, an essential employee. You know, I haven't gotten any crazy boost pays here and there for certain things, but not as consistent as a lot of people on unemployment who were getting an extra $600, who were being incentivized to not go back to work, you know. And then you got people like Mitch McConnell, whose wife got caught taking massive money from the PPP loans. And it's just like how you said earlier, would you prefer the government to keep this money while your fellow peers who are average citizens suffer? Think about that for a second. Get out of your ego and think about the bigger picture. Think about what's really going on here, you know?
Right.
A lot of people, how you said, they have to do some serious reevaluations, and they have to humble themselves a lot more. And let me tell you, these people who aren't too humble, these people that want to be out here saying, oh, you're not a real libertarian because of this, because of that. You ever notice they all have one thing in common?
What's that?
Actually, two things. Number one, they're very like miserable deep inside. And number two, they're aging horribly. You know, like anytime I've seen, so, oh, you're not a real libertarian, blah blah blah, as somebody that you look at them and you're just like, yo, like, oh, your expiration is on an accelerated speed, and you're about to be you know, taken to the expired market, you know. Like I see that all the time.
Yeah,
These people,
I couldn't do what you do because like I've never walked into a cell phone store in a good mood. I'll just say that. Like, I worked in retail for a long time, but I think that's a part of retail. I actually got a job offer at a Verizon store when I was like 18, and I also got an insurance sales job at the same time. And I was like, I'm gonna do that because I couldn't do what you do. I would flip on people. Ignorance is like my biggest like trigger point. So I don't know why I got into politics because that's not any better. I can't imagine that the people I talk to on a daily basis are much in a better mood than the people you talk to.
yeah, definitely
So I don't
not.
know what I did, but
Um,
I don't know what I did wrong in my life choices to get me into politics. But I definitely I don't think I can do what you do. That's for sure.
Thank you, thank you. What I think it is with us getting involved in politics is because we see the nonsense, and we're trying to fix it. Cause like I said, you're one of the people that I would love to keep around in my life for, you know, till my very last seconds. You feel me? We could go out together, you know, make it to the pearly gates together. Um, we realize that actions have to be taken. A lot of people are being arrested for things they shouldn't be arrested for. Um, a lot of regulations keep small businesses from growing, but keep big corporations in power. And most of these big corporations, they're making tons of profits while only paying their employees, their drones, crumbs. You know, so we see behind the curtain, and we're just like, yo, what's going on is wrong. We see that a lot of these wars have been unnecessary. We see that the police are an unconstitutional, tyrannical entity who I have titled infringement enforcers because all they do is trample all over the United States Constitution, enforce unconstitutional sub statutes, you know, because it's not unconstitutional. It's not constitutional. What it is, it's a sub tier of law brought in via the access of statute. But Marbury versus Madison, 1804, clearly states any laws that are found to go against the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights are to be null and void. They are repugnant to the United States Constitution. So a lot of these statutes that are infringements are to be null and void. Guys like you and I are seeing that they're not being nullified and voided. So we're just like, hey,
Right.
we're trying to hold the accountability standard. We're stepping up and saying, hey, look, you have to take action against this. We got to pay attention to who's in office. You know,
Right.
we got fed up with sports, with music, with all these entertaining outlets that all they do is give us a small dosage of dopamine for whatever time we chose to engage, participate, or indulge in what was occurring via sports, music, or any type of entertainment. And realize that, yo, there's a bigger picture here, and these guys are not coming out to fight for our constitutional rights, to fight for the better of this nation and the entire planet. Politics is cleaning up the ocean. Politics is, you know, protecting innocent animals from harm. I'm crazy Second
Right.
Amendment, super Second Amendment, but I don't hunt. You know,
Right.
I believe that we could be heavy you know, vegans. Yeah, that you can make an exception sometime and all that, but I
You
would,
are a vegan, right?
to an extent, I'm a
You're
semi-vegan.
vegetarian?
I'm a semi.
Vegetarian?
Yeah,
Semi-vegan?
yeah. Because I still eat ground beef and cheese and fish.
So you're like a mini vegetarian.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah, yeah,
Vegan.
but I don't eat chicken, I don't eat duck, I don't eat pork. You know, and I'm trying to leave the ground beef behind.
It's just too damn good, though.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you know, we getting there bit by bit, and cheese is amazing as well. But
Yeah, I could give up bacon. That's or steak. I legitimately tried to go vegetarian for a little bit, and I decided it wasn't worth it
yeah,
for me. Like
and
no, can't.
ironically
I
enough,
toast.
yeah, ironically enough, I don't like pork or steak. So you see,
Fair enough.
yeah. So
Uh,
you see, it's all about
fun fact,
respecting.
toaster.
That's being real libertarians, respecting the rights, individuality, and choices of the individual, as long as they're not harming anybody else. You and I, we're not harming nobody. We're not robbing nobody. We're not causing any type of misery to anybody. We're not bullying anybody.
Right.
All which,
I'll share a fun fact about Tulsi's campaign.
God,
For Eddie, if you are a vegetarian or a vegan and you're donated to Tulsi, I can guarantee beyond a shadow of a doubt that money was not spent on me. Tulsi had a very strict campaign finance policy that none of her dollars got spent on me. So the campaign fed me for months, kept and housed me, and I can't thank them enough. Know me, like none.
and if you look
None of
at,
the parties, none of the events, none of her campaign events. She had like potlucks at campaign events a couple of times. We had shit at a pizzeria, like no meat,
Mm.
the whole time, which fucking sucked for me. And
Mm.
that's why Nick Sarwark and I became friends, because I went to his house for Thanksgiving, so I didn't have to eat like toe turkey for
Mm.
Thanksgiving dinner.
And factually, our stomach asses have a hard time breaking down meats, chicken, pork, because our stomach asses weren't really built for it like that. Eating animals during ancient times was seen as a massive luxury. What would
Around here, lots of corn.
Okay, we had a little fade out right there.
Oh,
Thank
my
you.
bad.
Nah, it's all good. Thank you for those. It was a few seconds. Thank God.
Fucking Democrats.
And Republicans. Huh. Yeah, it could have been a mix of Mitch McConnell and Andrew Cuomo hating. Should have been Brad Barron instead of Mitch McConnell. But yeah, you know, we clap.
Yeah, dude. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Before we get to that, just want to leave the stamp there, clarify all that, and just make sure if anybody has any type of rebuttals, comments, or whatever, feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, you can hit the live chat now. You can reach me at the Fix for New York on Instagram, and I'm not too big on Twitter. I got like 3 or 4 people on Twitter. My Twitter is pretty new. But Fight, go ahead. Where could the people reach you at besides this current episode?
Yeah. So at David Fite or Fight for Liberty, Fight spelled Fite. We'll get you on Twitter, Fight for Liberty on Instagram, or dfight4 is my personal Instagram. I'm definitely bigger on Twitter. I'll probably respond to you faster because Twitter or Instagram for me is kind of, yeah, I use it and post stuff, but I only go on it to like escape and just look at beautiful things, whether that be vacation spots or female friends or whatever. So I'm on Instagram a lot less than Twitter. So if you really want to ask me a question, fucking at me on Twitter, and I will guarantee you reply.
Yeah, word. But yeah, B. So yeah, let's get to that. You know, a lot of great libertarian candidates who were running for office this year and these past few years, and you got guys like Trump who didn't even bother trying to find out who these candidates were that would have sided with him, would have truly been some real hardcore constitutionalists. And, you know, look at the circus that we're in today. Right now, we're living in a panic mode. But yeah, you know, a perfect example would have been Brad Barron, the libertarian, replacing the rhino Republican Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is bought out by big pharma and a lot of special interest donors. But yeah, go ahead.
Races right now would be a hell of a lot different if Mitch McConnell didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
That I mean, if y'all are paying attention to the Senate race in Georgia, no one's talking about the candidates on either side. Like literally no one. And I mean that at almost 100%. Like, you watch any of the Democrats' Twitter feed, any of the Republicans, mainstream media, anything. Andrew Yang moved to Georgia to help these 2 Democrats win, and even he's not talking about the candidates. He's talking about if you want stimulus, if you want weed legalized, we need to make sure that the Senate has a Democratic majority so Mitch McConnell can't block this stuff. Could you imagine if they couldn't use Mitch McConnell as a scapegoat for everything bad that happened in America in the last 4 years?
Word.
You know, they used Trump to get Biden in, and they're going to use McConnell to get these 2 in. And it's hilarious because they're not attacking Kelly Loeffler, who's a terrible senator and an awful human who I wouldn't lose a single wink of sleep if she was sent to the gulag for the rest of her life. No one's attacking her. It's still just Mitch McConnell. No one cares about the actual candidates. It's just about the majority. So if Brad Barron was there, you know, do I think Brad Barron would have accomplished anything as the lone libertarian senator? No. I mean, Justin Amash didn't do shit since he became a libertarian. And I mean that with all the love in the world. He couldn't. Nancy Pelosi. But if we could have gotten Mitch McConnell out of there, it would be completely different.
Yeah, it would have changed the demograph on an overall level, and it would have been an amazing start. You know,
Another great example is Tom Cotton. Like, how did that guy get reelected? This motherfucker said slavery was a necessary evil that progressed America forward.
wow, he really said that. Oh my god, holy crap! He definitely earned one of these.
Right, like, and that motherfucker got reelected this year.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
In two-way race. It was actually the best libertarian performance in 2020. Shout out, fuck, I'm gonna space on his name. Ricky Harrington, I think. Someone can fact check me on Twitter or something. Yes, Ricky Harrington. I'm 98% sure that's right. He got like 32% of the vote. So bravo, best libertarian performance I think ever, possibly. For the like, especially on a Senate level, like at a national stage, like bravo. But how did he lose? Like there were just some no-brainer libertarian candidates this year that I don't understand. Like Joe
That
Jorgensen,
does not make
I
sense.
understand. I really do understand her numbers. Like it was a hyper-partisan election. It was a hyper-partisan like political year.
They were
The idea of
both
a third party
both
performing
members
well.
of the duopoly were doing everything in their power to keep JoJo out of any type of debate.
And that's why I think Ricky did so well against Tom Cotton. Because he qualified for the debate, right? PBS. I'll shout out PBS right now, which I don't know if I've ever done. PBS.
Shout out PBS.
PBS set debate rules, or the debate commission set the rules. Ricky qualified for the debate. Tom Cotton declined the debate invite, so PBS ran like a 2-hour town hall with Ricky by himself, basically.
Oh wow.
They still did the debate. They still gave Ricky that 2 hours. It was already trumped out for the debate. Tom didn't show up, so it was a one-man debate, and they aired 2 hours of a libertarian getting to explain his platform on PBS. Like, probably the greatest media moment in Libertarian Party history.
Lost the moment. Wait.
Fuck yeah. So yeah, that was an amazing part of 2020 for me. It makes me sad he didn't win, but it did get 30 fucking percent. So that's a start, guys. Like, fucking Donald Rainwater in Indiana was polling in the mid 20s for part of it. You know, we had Brad Barron qualified for the debates, even though Mitch McConnell and let's face it, the Democrat in that fucking race. They both chickened out. I'm cursing too much because I'm drunk.
First Amendment.
First Amendment. They both chickened out, so Brad didn't actually get to debate them. But you know, we made some moves this year.
Exactly.
Joe was not a good like comparing Joe Jorgensen's numbers to Gary Johnson's numbers is not the way to look at the Libertarian Party of 2020. It's not accurate.
And also we pardon me to interrupt you, we can't leave out the fact that again they were censoring her like crazy. A lot of election fraud occurred, and both Biden and Trump did not want that smoke. And that was very cowardly of them, you know? Like, come on, give a fair chance to any competitors that you have. That's like a boxer becoming a champion, and never wanting to fight anybody and hold on to that belt. In boxing rules, if you don't conduct title defenses, you have to vacate the belt. And
that is a fact.
so that would be dope if that was included within this demographic as well, the political atmosphere, which again ties into everything that you do. Because even in politics, they gotta follow laws. How are laws constructed? Through the legislative branch of the political spectrum.
Right. Justin Amash, if you're watching this, you just wrote a constitutional amendment. I want you to write another one that would include this type of language. That if anyone chickens out of a challenge, they just have to vacate the presidency. The president has to debate any legitimate challenger.
Mm-hmm.
Any challenger with like a certain amount of signatures on a petition.
Yeah, and JoJo had all. She had ballot access in all 50 states, so that was horrible. Highly disappointed. Biden, by default, we know he was full of crap. You know, but Trump.
Also full of crap. You know, if you think that A, this was quote the most secure election in American history, you're full of shit. B, if you think only the Democrats committed election fraud this year, you are also full of shit. Just look at Texas. Like that's all you have to do. One Google search. Texas GOP removes candidates from ballot. Just search that on Google and be proven wrong if you think that the Democrats were the only people that were trying to fuck with this election.
Mm-hmm.
The GOP tried to remove libertarians from the ballot left and right all fucking year. The Democrats were doing the same thing to the Green Party all fucking year. Andrew Cuomo just passed something through the emergency COVID relief budget that tried to kick both the Libertarian Party, Green Party, and Working Families Party all off the ballot. He only succeeded with 2 out of those 3 missions. Working Families Party kept their ballot access. Good for them.
Wow. Yeah, because they lean Democrat.
Yeah, well, they had Joe Biden on their line.
Oh,
But, so
my point proven, they lean Democrat.
Right. They are somewhat, especially on a national stage, a Democrat mirror party. Same way the Constitutional Party or the Conservative Party exists for the Republicans. Right. They don't run their own candidates very often. But what the Working Families Party did in 2018 is why they got included in this attempt of chopping them off the ballot. When Cynthia Nixon almost beat Andrew Cuomo in the primary, the Working Families Party offered her their line in the general.
That would have been dope. Had she beat him, I could have seen Larry winning, or at least coming in second place. It would have been Cynthia and Larry.
It would have been a much better governor than Andrew Cuomo. She would have handled COVID better. I could go on about why Cynthia would have been better than
Decriminalize marijuana.
Fuck yeah, that bill would have actually have gone through in a legitimate form instead of that bullshit that actually passed last year. Like, New York did not decriminalize marijuana in 2019.
Nope.
Every Democrat in the state packed themselves on the bat that they voted yes on a bill that was called the Decriminalization of Marijuana Act. However, they didn't do that. It's still a criminal. It's still something that will get you fined or in prison. So you failed at your mission. Stop patting yourself on the back now.
Exactly.
I think Cynthia Nixon would have been a way better governor. Also, it would have drastically affected New York City politics because her lieutenant governor candidate is currently our public advocate. Jumaane Williams was her running mate. So,
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if he was in Albany right now, New York City would be a lot different politically. And I won't argue that it would be better politically because I think he's doing good work. I ran to fill his seat in city council last year, and I didn't hear a single bad thing about him. I was talking to people that hate government, hate the city government, hate de Blasio, hated the person that replaced him, and there one would say a bad word about Jumaane Williams.
Yeah,
So,
I haven't
I
seen any type of negativity with Germani as well, so I'm gonna agree with that. Yeah,
So my point at the beginning of this, if you are doing politics for the betterment of your constituents because you truly believe that what you're doing is for the better of society, and you're not trying to shove your opinions down people's throat, which he crosses that line a little bit sometimes, but not very often. Then I support you. I'm not going to support you politically. I didn't vote for him. I voted for Devin Falkine, but I'm also not going to shit talk him and say that we need to vote him out. We need to get rid of him. We need to primary him from the left. Democrats should be happy with Jumaane Williams. Libertarians shouldn't be, but Democrats should be happy with him. He's a great guy. One of my somebody I would call a friend actually now works for him, and now like that kind of opened up a little bit better of a view of him for me. And yeah, like I'll still if I'm back down there next year, I will vote for Devin again or whoever we run for public advocate against him. But I still support him.
exactly. So you see clarity and all that. Politics made simple. Now, this issue, how we touched on earlier with the stimulus going on, because I really want to get to this, and we got about 20 minutes left. So, to all of you people out there who say, oh, you're not into politics, or you find politics boring, but you're waiting on the stimulus check and all that, look at what they're doing now. This is the biggest slap in the face. They're saying that, oh yeah, you've been suffering for pretty much a whole year, and how you said earlier, all you're pretty much worth is $1,800. I mean, was it? Am I saying that right? 1,800. Yeah, am I saying that right? 1,800.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000. Yeah, 1,800. That they're basically saying that's all we're worth as productive United States citizens. You get me? So now that we hit on that, I want to reflect on something real quick to show people you have to stop seeking entertainment. You really do. Seek entertainment only after the hardship is done with. Because the old saying is, give them bread, crumbs, and a circus, and they will never revolt. And that translates to keep them entertained, and they'll never find a reason to stand up and fight for a better tomorrow and all that. So Donald Duck came out. You know what I mean? Trump. Shout out to the real Donald Duck. He came out a few months. This was back in May, June, around there, after the first stimulus, the CARES Act passed, and people were still suffering. And I just want y'all to listen to what he said, and it's gonna lead into some points that I've been dying to make. Loading up. Bear with me, folks.
Donald Trump is returning to Wisconsin on Thursday.
Get a test because you asked yourself.
We do more testing than any country in the world by far. 25 million tests.
He's gonna get to talking about stimulus in a bit.
As you do more tests, it shows more and more.
And this is okay. Back in June, pardon me, June. I was close.
And we're doing all these tests, and it shows cases. If other countries aren't doing, or if we did slow it down, we wouldn't show nearly as many cases.
But did you ask to slow it down?
Keep listening.
If it did slow down, frankly, I think we're way ahead of ourselves, if you want to know the truth. We've done too good a job.
I have a lot of viewers in Florida, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, who are still struggling economically, sir. They spent all of that first stimulus check. Are you going to get them a second stimulus?
Yeah, we are. Look, we had this...
When are you going to get it?
We had this going better than anybody's ever seen before. We had the best job numbers, the best economics, the best economy we've ever had. and then we had the virus coming from China, and now we're rebuilding it again. We will be doing another stimulus package. It'll be very good. It'll be very generous. And
How much? How much?
people are
How
gonna
much? People want to know.
You'll find out about it. You'll find out.
When are you going to do it? When are you going to announce it?
I think over the next, I think it's going to be bipartisan. I think it's going to be over the next couple of weeks, probably.
This morning.
And this is back
6 months ago.
June 22nd, people. And this is what I mean about the whole entertainment
Literally 6 months ago to the day.
aspect of it and all that, because I want to let people fully grasp what's going on. We're being played for suckers. Can we all agree that Trump came and said, and I provided facts, so do not come here with your nonsense, senor. Because I provided facts right now. And I'm going to add more facts to that in a minute. But Trump himself said he was going to give a very generous stimulus package. And he had even tweeted, you could look up the tweet, it'll be better than anything that the Democrats want to offer. He said this one will be bipartisan back on June 22nd. Within those couple of weeks, from June, July, August, did we see any type of generous stimulus? Did Donald Trump keep his word about carrying out a generous stimulus? Now, I'll give him his credit that he did come out one time and say that he would somehow, some way, executive order a stimulus package, which, to my knowledge, he wouldn't have been able to do so. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But even if you correct me on that, being that he didn't take the action on it, clearly shows that, again, he was a failure. All he ever does is exaggerate everything that he says and constantly bring us a lot of
Fake news!
And you guys got to stop being entertained. Stop seeking entertainment. Stop glorifying a guy who talks a big talk but doesn't walk the talk that he talks. This is a guy that says he's going to prepare you a lasagna and comes with a hot pocket, lukewarm, and tells you that it's the same thing. I had Anthony Calandro, the owner.
Feel less by the hot pocket. That's the craziest part. Like, he feels like that hot pocket is the greatest fucking thing in the world.
And you're a former Republican. Nah, it's all good. First Amendment. You're a former Republican yourself, right, Fight?
Yeah, technically.
Yeah.
I've never voted Republican, but I was one as a teenager until luckily my first voting election was 2016, and so I found Gary Johnson there, so I don't have the tarnished life of someone that has voted Republican. I voted Democrat, though. I voted for Chuck Schumer once.
Oh, God.
That's like the worst thing I've ever done in life. I voted for Chuck Schumer against Alex Merced because I didn't really understand what the Libertarian Party was quite yet. I knew Gary Johnson. I voted for him on the Libertarian line, not the Independence line. But I had no idea who Alex Merced was at the time, and I voted for Chuck Schumer, and I regret that so much.
Yeah, at least, you're able to acknowledge that you made a mistake, own up to it, and improve from then on. But you got too many people out here glorifying Trump, treating Trump like he's a god and all that. When in reality, this guy's been nothing but a massive failure. All right, I had Anthony Calandro here on the show about a month or two back. Anthony Calandro, for those. There we go. See the censorship. That proves that I got censored on Instagram when I was calling out Donald Duck's falsehoods. Trump. His lies, all of his
Fake news!
So yeah, I had Calandro on here, and we were talking about New York State Rifle and Pistol Association against the city of New York, the first Second Amendment Supreme Court case being heard in close to a decade. And ironically enough, it happened to be New York because how the great Larry Sharpe says all the time, New York is a battle state. If you fix New York, the spillover effect will be amazing. But if you don't fix New York and you decide to move, how long until those politics catch up to wherever you move to? So Trump heavily talks about being an advocate for the Second Amendment, but we've all seen that that's a bunch of
Fake news.
because Calandro said he wouldn't be allowed to advocate for support of that Supreme Court case. But for those who saw the episode right after, he said, but he's constantly making fun of judges that are anti-Second Amendment and all that. So what more damage? Because if he's already conducting the action of minorly vulgarly insulting these judges who are anti-constitution, what more trouble could he get for showing some transparent, honorable support for a Supreme Court case which would have included 2 of his Supreme Court judges? Like, what kind of trouble could you face for that? So, I just showed ya the lie, his massive exaggeration about a very generous stimulus package that he was gonna have within the early days of the summertime. And what did we all see? That was a bunch of
Fake news.
Now, along with that, what I want people to think about here, because you're out here blindly voting Republican and all that, also blindly voting Democrat, and ever since Biden quote unquote won the election, he and his team allegedly, up until now, based on the research that I conducted along with others who conducted their research as well, we all came to the final conclusion, he hasn't had any meetings with Black Lives Matter or any of these groups that were out here in mass advocating for him, even though he is arguably one of the kings of mass incarceration, you know, if not the king of mass incarceration. So what we need you people to do is stop just seeking to be entertained and activate your brain. Get out of your, because the Jedi in Star Wars told us many times, pardon me, and you guys are all big and lovey-dovey with the Mandalorian right now, which is another offspin of the Star Wars legacy. The Jedi heavily advocated for anti-feelings, being pure rationalist, pure logicalist. And then the Mandalorians as well, they're very focused on getting whatever they put their mind towards done, you know? So we've seen the nonsense from Biden and Trump, and we could agree, thank you, we could agree that these guys are horrible for the United States, and before anybody comes getting in there, we're gonna give credit that Trump, North Korea, peace treating, cool. But the CARES Act wasn't Trump's. All Trump did was be the final signature on that. So when Trump tries to take credit for the first stimulus package, horrible. When Trump tries to say that he's a Second Amendment advocate, but we've seen that that's clearly a bunch of
Fake news.
we can also drop the hammer down that he sucks at that as well, and it's a bunch of
Fake news.
when Trump says that he's gonna come and grant us a very generous stimulus package that will be way bigger than anything the Democrats could have ever thought of. You can look up the tweets. We're gonna see that's also a bunch of
Fake news. Fake news.
yep, a double whammy on that. And along with that, we see that it doesn't get anywhere because Trump talks a big talk but doesn't walk a big walk, is a very little walk. He was scared to come out and walk when Black Lives Matter and Antifa was down in DC tearing things up. Then the next day, when everybody's gone, he decides to come out with a face on like he's about to pop somebody, we see that this guy is nothing but a massive failure. Oh, hold on, fight. We don't have audio on you, fight.
My bad. I was muted.
Oh, okay.
Because I was skipping through a video real quick to try to find this audio. Because you were talking about Biden meeting with BLM, and there was some leaked audio of a meeting that he had with some civil rights leaders and people of color leaders within Congress. And let's see, I don't know if this is gonna go through. Can you hear this?
Oh yeah, I hear it loud and clear.
Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two. I mean
Fake news.
I mean what I say when I say it. I'm the only person who's ever run on 3 platforms that I was told could not possibly win the election, and I never ceased from it. One was on restoring the soul of this country because of what I saw happen in Charlottesville. That was it. No one else was talking about it. The words of President's mouth.
Right, because no one else was talking about Charlottesville. You remember when that happened?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one else was talking about that, right? Like Joe
Fake
Biden
news.
was the only person in America talking about how racist people in Charlottesville were when that shit went down. Right. So yeah, that's out of Joe Biden's own mouth. He is the greatest thing that has ever happened to the civil rights movement.
Mr. Mass Incarceration himself. Look up the 1992-1993 crime bill.
Right. I mean, he just said, what I've done is more than anyone else has ever done. That's his exact quote from that meeting. And like, you're right. What you've done to lock up black people is more than anyone else has ever done in world history. You're right.
There was even a joke. That said, if Joe Biden's crime bill didn't affect you, then guess what? You ain't black. And it's crazy, and again, we're seeing these 2 guys out here just constantly pulling a bunch of nonsense and having blind support groups, and these support groups not realizing what they're doing, and we're literally in the middle of, you know what it is, fight. Show you right now what it is.
Okay, guys, this is Chris.
Oh God, give me a second here.
Got a little YouTube ad.
So, what we're experiencing right now, even though we've been experiencing this throughout our entire lifetimes, because even Ronald Reagan, I wasn't alive yet I was born nearing the end of no wait, actually maybe not around there, but Reagan was another massive failure, and it's been a circus ever since, God bless the passing of JFK. And right now, what we're dealing with now is just a gigantic and this is beyond. I wake up every day and I'm just like, oh my God, we're actually dealing with all of this crap daily. You gotta wear a mask everywhere you go. Dave and Buster's isn't open. Your movie theaters aren't open. You're not able to go and enjoy the things you used to love doing. um is insane. So we know that Biden is nothing more than a massive failure. We know that Trump is also a massive. Both of these guys have a history of some type of hardcore racism. Trump with the Central Park Five, along with a few other things, and Biden with his crime bills, showing that both of these guys are not about, you know, my minority people, my Puerto Ricans, my Cubans, my Jamaicans, my Trinidadians, my Dominicans, my Bajans, my my you know, my Central South Americans, and those from the continent of Africa background. These guys are not for us. Are either one of these guys pro Second Amendment? Are any of these guys pro decriminalization of all drugs because the war on drugs is unconstitutional? Are any of these guys pro sex work, which is, you know, free trade and capitalism and will contribute to a healthy economic market? Are either one of these guys genuine at heart? Are either one of these guys looking to improve the situation at hand? It's insane. It's clearly insane. Both of these guys have their agendas. And Trump, again, was supposed to be the outsider. Has Trump done anything positive for the Second Amendment? Did Trump support? Exactly. Did Trump drain the swamp? Brad Barron over Mitch McConnell. Did Trump advocate for Brad Barron? Did Trump advocate for Larry Sharpe when Mark Molinaro said he wouldn't vote for Trump and clearly Cuomo and Trump do not get along? Did Trump say, hey, I'm going to go out of my way to make sure that marijuana is decriminalized at the federal level? He would have got all those left votes. Did Trump come out and say he was in favor of sex work like that? He would have got those votes as well. Trump claims to be somewhat of a libertarian. Is he really? Did he do anything to help us get a better stimulus package besides a bunch of nonsense tweets? What have we seen time and time again from Trump?
Fake news.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everything he campaigned on turned out to be bullshit. Like, if you voted for him in 2020, you have some cognitive dissonance going on. You know, the people that voted for him in 2016, I understand. You know, campaigned on ending the wars, he campaigned on fiscal conservatism. You know, and
Bring in jobs. Oh, all right, he did the jobs. Cool.
he's talking about auditing the Fed more than once. Like, he talked about some fucking great stuff, but he did not do a goddamn thing.
I could talk about making a lasagna all day, but up until I make the lasagna, it's nothing more than
Fake news.
Right, I've still yet to eat your lasagna. Like, that's a travesty.
when you come through and sleep over, man, I promise you it will not be.
Fake news.
And you will enjoy that lasagna, and then you're gonna be giving me.
That, you know, lasagna is literally, wow, it used to be like my birthday meal as a kid. My mom would make me and my sister like whatever we wanted for our birthday, and lasagna for like 10 years of my life was my birthday meal. And it's not like my favorite.
Yeah, lasagna is truly heaven sent. I wouldn't be surprised if it was God himself who invented it and somehow got the message down here to earth. Know what I mean? But yeah, Fight, you know, before we wrap up, this has been, again, nothing more
Damn, it's 3 a.m. Fuck.
but a massive this is something that has led to a lot of suffering, you know. Again, to let these people know, both Trump and Biden and Trump have been nothing more than massive failures. They've done nothing in favor of the United States Constitution. They've done nothing to help people who are truly suffering right now. And it's just been massive nonsense. Massive nonsense. A lot of rhetoric, a lot of talking, and big promises of lasagna, while all that was delivered was Hot Pockets. And in all honesty, Hot Pockets could be a minorly good treat, but when you come with some lukewarm Hot Pockets, not even properly baked Hot Pockets, there's nothing more than a massive failure.
Facts. I love Hot Pocket, but lasagna is better.
Word up, B. But yeah, brother, man, you know, thank you so much for the time. I'm glad that guys like you and I do not get caught up in our, and we focus on solutions, because that's how we were able to conduct this episode today. As you can see, you know, we're getting better at these things. Yeah, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we wrap up?
Yes, actually. Always. I think I shouted out most of these people already today. But Larry Sharp, always. Reed Coverdale, always. Brad Barron, Elliot Sherman, Ricky Harrington, Stacey Pressman. That's my LP list. Got them out of the way. Tulsi Gabbard, Justin Mosh, Matt Gaetz, and Thomas Massey all voted no on this bullshit stimulus bill today. Props to them, as well as Mike Lee and Rand Paul and a few other people in the Senate. Props to them. Mitch McConnell voted yes on this bullshit. So did Nancy Pelosi. And yeah, shout out to anybody that's not into politics to push their ideals on any other person. Fucking protecting the minorities and the individual, biggest minority, the individual. That's what politics is about. So shout out to literally every person that's out here doing that.
Word. And to add to that, you know, once again, Larry Sharp, Stacey Pressman, Tulsi Gabbard, Justin Amash, Dave Smith, props to him too, Anthony Calandro, Tony Simon, Keith Panelon, Marsh Touré, Kevin Dixie, Gabby Franco, Puerto Rican Pistoletto, and his girlfriend, I forgot her name, I apologize for that, Firearms Chronicles, the whole 2A community throughout the United States and even the planet, because each nation on the planet should have a Second Amendment, being you know, some type of constitutional, inalienable, recognizable, and logical rights that solidifies the obvious action of self-defense against any type of hostile threat. Along with that, yeah, you know, shout you out too, Fight, because you're an amazing guy as well. Shout out Drink Champs. Shout out Cuban Link. Rest in peace, Big Pun. And yeah, let's just, you know, continue with the momentum that we have now. Oh, shout out Joe Jorgensen. Shout out all the Zacks. Shout out all the libertarian ladies out there. We see y'all doing y'all thing. You know, shout out our fellow libertarian men as well. But you know, we gotta give props to the libertarian women. Libertarian women are very unique, and they are highly anti you know, unnecessary child support and unnecessary government involvement within people's love.
Right. give a couple of specific shout outs that I left out.
Go ahead.
If you're on Twitter and you don't think that Liberty Ladies is a thing, search up Libertarian Redhead. There's like 3 different people that go by some form of that account name. Maggie Anders, Morgan is Wizard. There are so many fucking awesome women on Twitter pushing the liberty message. Most of these people are actually like active within the LP. Lane was Joe Jorgensen's social media manager. Maggie Anders is a Yao regional director. These people are actually living their lives along with the libertarian philosophy of trying to get liberty people elected. So if you think libertarianism is all dudes, wrong. Go on Twitter. Look up hashtag Libertinies. That'll get you some. That'll be a funny.
Word.
It's a thing. It was super popular. Like every Liberty lady was like, yeah, it's a great time.
Gotta love it. So yeah, we go
to Twitter for not banning dumb shit like nudity and vulgarity, like Instagram.
yeah, First Amendment, full blown First Amendment. Instagram, give me back my well earned and deserved personal Instagram, Cash First 456. In the meanwhile, y'all can reach me at the Fix for New York on Instagram. Fight once again. Where could they reach you at?
Alright, so you got at David Fite 4 and at Fight for Liberty on Instagram, and then at David Fite for Liberty on Twitter, and Facebook, the same as Twitter.
Word up. So yeah, once again, I am one of the hosts of the Fix for New York podcast. Cash First 456 on IG till I get it back. Hit me at the Fix for New York once again. My co-host Z-Doc could not be here with us this evening, but he was here with us in spirit. But the amazing brother, once again, Fight was here with us this evening.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, definitely, brother, man. I got a lot of love for you. I look forward to spending a lot of great times with you, creating a lot of great memories with you. Hopefully, you and I meet some wonderful women along this journey, which we call life. This experience, which we call life. Make a lot of financial success together and even separate, but still enjoy it together. Know what I mean? We'll leave it at that. Catch y'all next time. This has been the Fix for New York. That is my man, fellow libertarian, fellow porcupine, David Fite right there. Know what I mean? And we out of here. Thank y'all for tuning in. Take care. Drive safe. Eat healthy. And God bless.